Greetings, Earthlings and humans, all life forms, all bents of beings that are here on Earth. Some are just not even human and such, and they just walk around because they're just projections and shit. Welcome to you too, and everybody, especially animals, the smartest beings on this planet, because they know how smart I am. Wherever I go, the animals always come up, especially the birds. They always come up because they know I'm not full of shit. And they can tell who's full of shit and who isn't. And they don't need to bullshit themselves to feel the joy of life like humans do. It's just amazing. Hi, animal friends. Ooh, meow, meow, woof. Moo. Hello, animal friends. Welcome to the Roseanne Barr Podcast.
Oh, you see, my patience is growing thin.
Oh boy, you know how there's geniuses that are like on the earthly level that I love to talk to. And you know who I got to get back is that James guy. We didn't get a lot of views with him.
Lindsay?
Yeah, oh my God, that guy is beyond a genius, and they're just starting to get him. I want him back. But he's a genius on the earthly level. But now we have a spiritual genius, which is my very favorite thing to talk about. And last week, remember on last week where I told you it's a one world satanic government. And my guest today is an expert in that subject. So I'm so happy to welcome Audra Lynn. Hi, Audra.
Hi, Roseanne.
Well, let's get right to it. You're a spiritual warrior, aren't you?
I sure am.
And you began your spiritual warrior career after you personally were allegedly, I have to say, raped by the infamous Jeffrey Epstein himself, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell us how that happened and how you ran into his ass, his disgusting ass?
Right. I had gotten an email and I was told that there was this great guy that was in Hollywood. He had all these connections to different producers and that he wanted to meet me and thought that I had great potential because I had just posed for Playboy. I was Miss October 2003. And so I went to a hotel to meet him. And,
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
This is going to be rude, but I have to be me, What was that like? I mean, were you afraid to take off your clothes and get your picture took?
Yes, definitely afraid. Because I came from such a great family. I had an amazing mother and father that they're still married. And I had really the fairy tale upbringing. So
why'd you end up saying, okay, I'll take my clothes off and get my picture took naked? Why'd you do that?
I was really big into the modeling career. And when you hit 23, you're kind of considered old. And so I had to reinvent myself. And so that was my way to reinvent myself. I had loved Cindy Crawford, and she was able to reinvent herself by doing Playboy. So I thought that I could do the same. And it all turned out really good, except for this one part of my life. Hef was great. The mansion was great. I was able to stay there 2 different times. After this whole Epstein thing, he took me in to shield me and protect me.
He did that for a lot of girls.
Yeah, he was amazing. And it's sad to see his name run through the mud when he's not like that. And his parties weren't, they're comparing his parties to Diddy parties. Nothing like that went on there. If there was drugs, they were kicked out. If there was sex, they were kicked out. There weren't naked people everywhere. There's some topless women, on Sunday fun days, but the mansion parties weren't as...
Yeah, you weren't allowed to touch those women. I went to several of the Hef parties, I never did go to a Diddy party. But I did, now that Hef's dead, I'll say it. The girls, because I was always concerned about girls and children and such. And I said, sneak me up there so I can see how you're living. I just want to know it's okay. So they did sneak me up there, a couple of them. And I asked them, because I'm always nosy. And I says, what is it like here? Are you okay? And they said, I'm a mother and being here is safe for me, and it allows me to send money home for my mother to raise my children. And Mr. Hefner is nothing but a gentleman, and we look at him as a great man. So then I was like, Yahoo, I'm going to get drunk and beat up Bill Maher, which I did. But anyway, back to
I
your
was up
story.
there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's funny. Yeah, Hef has so much empathy. I've seen that man cry so many times, and as you know, that's a rarity in Hollywood to find people that have empathy and care for others.
Well, so you posed for Playboy naked, which that didn't freak you out at all. So you must have felt good about your body. Did you feel you were beautiful enough?
No, I don't think that you ever really do. You know, like when I walked into the mansion for the first time, I saw one of Hef's girlfriends. Her name was Tina. She came down, and I kept thinking, like, what am I doing here? Like, I don't compare to these women. And I grew up 5 miles from a town of 288 people. So, I mean, I was really like in the boondocks, you know, and so coming to Hollywood was a shock, and being at the Playboy Mansion was a greater shock. And yeah.
I'm just trying to process how you're thinking at the time. But
Yeah.
so is that where you met Jeffrey Epstein?
No, it was a random email, and I later found out that one of Hef's girlfriends that he had kicked out because he had found that she was giving information out to people, the predators like Epstein and Ghislaine. So my email address had gone to them, and it was all a trap, you know. And after that had happened at the hotel, and you know, like you think, like, what are you doing going to a hotel? But when you come from the modeling industry, it was very common to meet at hotels, and this wasn't a regular hotel room. It had like a conference sitting area, you know. Like I felt pretty safe. He talked to me for like an hour. Everything seemed to be going really well. And when he excused himself to go to the bathroom and he came back, that it's like what the other girls say, you know, he came back, he had a towel on, and I froze, and I was terrified after that. And he raped me. And that was so soul shattering to me because I came from such an amazing family and I had not had any trauma like that. And so like that was really, really traumatic for me.
Were you fighting?
No, I got terrified. I froze. It was like a deer in headlights. And I replay that moment back in my head so many times. Like, why didn't I just like run? Why didn't I run? You know? And that's been the hardest part to process through everything. And then, you know, the other reports that you hear about his private area was equally as horrifying, you know, and it's just etched in my head forever.
Well, you probably went into PTSD shock.
Yeah. And then I struggle even to this day, like talking about it, like I have so much pain and tension that I internalized all of that instead of like fracturing as like, you know, children, when they go through things, they fracture and they have other alters and everything. I was past that age. And so I think what happened to me is that it all internalized. And so I have like chronic pain from pretty much that moment forward.
Well, maybe talking about it's going to release it.
It has. And helping survivors has been the best therapy for me because even though I didn't go through it as children, I understand them. I speak the same language as they do. And, you know, I didn't really realize what I was going through at the time that I do now because I started researching things. And what I don't think that they counted on was that I was intelligent and I have almost like a photographic memory. And so all these weird conversations that were happening around me.
Hey guys, it's Jake here. As you know, I'm an old middle-aged man who's graying and bald, and I have 2 daughters and a wife, and I need to take care of them. So life insurance is something that I look into all of the time. But as I was investigating and talking to my brother-in-law Josh, who many of you know from republiclifenow.com and the annuities program that we sold, The guy's a genius. He told me about a new product that is part of the life insurance, parachute, if you will. But it's called Living Benefits. And it's going to change the game. And I wanted to tell you about it because you guys got to get into it right now. And essentially what it is it's a life insurance policy. You pay it, the whole thing. And then if something, God forbid, happens and you, while you're alive, need that money, you don't have to wait until you're dead for it to go to your family when it could have helped save your life. With Living Benefits, you can access your own life insurance policy payout or whatever you want to call it while you're alive. Let's say you get a catastrophic illness or get caught on fire or something horrible happens. You can pull from your own life insurance policy and save your own life, or do whatever you want, man. Buy a house, go to Monte Carlo, do the coke and blow, whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter. It's your money. Go to republiclifenow.com. Check it out. Make sure you ask for the Living Benefits life insurance because it's a separate part of life insurance. I don't want to get too technical, but just think about it. You can actually potentially save your own life with your own life insurance policy. It's a game changer, and I highly recommend you do it.
I remember them. And so then I started piecing it all together and just going down this rabbit hole of experience and then knowledge.
So what's the very bottom line? I mean, I think I've been saying for a long time that the world, including, Epstein he's like one of the pillars of the whole system, isn't he?
He's one of them. The problem that we go back to is basically from Genesis 3:15 with Eve and the serpent, right? And that verse talks about how he's going to put enmity between the serpent seed and the woman's seed. And so we still have that today, and in Genesis 6, the fallen angels made a pact on Mount Hermon that they were going to take wives for themselves and create this other race, this spiritual race of giants and Nephilim. And so what happened from there is you basically have the serpent seed and you have the Jews. And the Jews, because they're God's chosen people. I'm a Christian Jew, and that lineage is so important to Satan's kingdom because you have all the spiritual connection being God's chosen people. And so when you have these Satanists, they're going after that seed because you contain gifts. You were given gifts from God. And when I do a lot with SRA, which is satanic ritual abuse, and I help a lot of survivors through that. And almost all of them go back to ancient Jewish lines. And
that's the missing piece, isn't it? Nobody's really talking about that, but that is the truth.
Yeah. And especially, like with all the religions and all the inner fighting that we're having amongst religions, it's really not the religions that we're having a fight with. It's the serpent seed that we're having a fight with. That's and right. So they branched out. There was the Tower of Babel. And when they confuse the languages, that's where you get the symbols. You know how they always say symbolism will be their downfall? That's because the way for them to communicate were through those symbols. And so when that happened, they spread out, just like the 12 tribes of Israel spread out. They also spread out, but they had that demonic lineage. And so they had access to evil spirits and everything else. And they ended up taking over territories. And so when you see the Muslims fighting and everything like that, there's the bloodline side of it. And they when you look at secret societies, they want you to have some base of religion, whether it's Christianity, whatever. And so with those lines, what happens is you have the satanic division of every single religion. Yeah. And so then we're fighting amongst ourselves, and we really shouldn't be. It's the seed against us, and that's where Like you always talk about love. That's where our love needs to come out. They've got a hive mind of demonic serpent seed, and we should have a hive mind of love, because that's how we defeat them, is through love
That
and
is how we
happiness.
do it. Our love for what's right and our love for people who are righteous.
Right.
Through all
You know?
faiths.
Yeah.
Huh? Everywhere.
Through all faiths. Yeah. Can I ask a quick question? When you say the seed, you're talking about the Nephilim, Anunnaki. You're talking about demonic, like reptilians, right? Just to clarify, I like to be here to clarify.
Yeah.
Well, I
Sounds
heard that
good.
it was that Cain and Abel. That
Yes.
Cain was the son of the snake.
Yes. So I think that there's a lot more that, because I have a lot of friends that are high level occultists that really don't want to be involved in it anymore. So they've been
Yeah.
kind of a nice sounding board to listen to as well on their side of it, because I feel that we need to know our enemy inside and out, because how do you defeat something that you're not taught in church and you're not taught at the temple? And, you know, you've really got to dig deep, and you got to understand that.
But you are taught it. You are taught, but it's reversed.
Right. Right. And so the apple in the garden, you know, I believe she had sexual relations with Lucifer and then ended up having sexual relations with Adam. And that's where you have Cain and you have Adam.
Abel.
And then on the satanic version of it, he goes down. And did you ever wonder, like, where did all these other people come from when he was banished? And that's supposed to be Lilith's seed and her children. And he then intermingled with Lilith.
You're not supposed to say her name.
No, I'm not afraid of her.
Well, she is the evil side. And you know, there's an evil side and a good side, and that's the war. You got to choose which side you're on.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
But people who are severely damaged, they don't think of things as right or wrong. They just think of, will I survive this way or will I die this way? That's where their thinking is decreased to.
Yeah. Well, and then they think that they don't have to worry about when they die, because they'll just go into another vessel.
Is that right? I didn't know about that. So they think they'll take another body.
Yeah, and especially through that generational line. And so if you listen to, I don't like to give this guy credit, but I think it's important to listen to him. There's the Grand Master of the Knights Templar. He's been speaking out a lot lately, and I think he's going to be one that really ushers in this one world religion, because they went and they got all those artifacts, right? So they went in and stormed Jerusalem, and they have all these, you know, the Ark of the Covenant. He claims that there's more than one Ark of the Covenant and everything.
Yeah, I think so too.
He says that all their knowledge comes through generationally. And so they don't write anything down. They unlock the keys through satanic ritual abuse.
That's right. Well, those are the two choices.
Yeah.
Are you going to earn it by drawing closer to God? Or are you going to, you know, go on the other side and earn the fire? And they never seem to think they're going to go to the fire. They never think they're going to be stopped or caught.
Right.
I guess maybe if they think they're going to possess another human body after they die, I can see why they're like they are then. I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's no repercussions. There's no heaven or hell. They just continue. They're immortal. They're vampires, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are vampires.
There's no payment due on death. There's no balance due. Can I ask you a quick question, Audra? Because I studied the occult a little bit. I was fascinated with the Nazis. Who isn't?
Yeah.
And Hitler.
Yeah, theirs was the real deal. They had.
Well, they were.
This all plays together.
Well, they were obsessed with giants. A lot of people don't know the Aryans. So is that tied into what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Aryan race believed that they were the divine rulers. They were they had the right to rule. And
Right.
all that goes back to Cain and that whole lineage and to the giants and the Nephilim. And so whoever can keep that blood the purest, because they interbreed, and they interbreed to the point where they can't have normal children or they can't
Right.
have children at all. And then they seek out somebody they like beauty and intelligence and Jew. And so then they find somebody that has the beauty and intelligence and it comes from the Jewish lineage to then interbreed back in and hopefully get that spiritual gifting that the Jews contain.
Okay.
You are the first person I've heard that has bespoken this truth.
Yeah.
Besides, me, and I sound crazy, but it's I really am glad you're doing it. And it is
God's really been pushing me to come out with the knowledge that I have. And even though I was in the entertainment industry, like I'm more of a writer. I'm writing a book on all of this. And so I'm going to take people from the beginning all the way through because I'm so much better at being able to write it down than to actually speak it. And it's going to be a huge healing journey for the SRA survivors. That's my main love, my main heart is them. But it's also going to be for everybody else to gain knowledge and understand how it works because we're opening spiritual doorways that people don't understand, and then they wonder why they're having the bad luck and the bad things that are happening in their life, and they can fix that.
all you have to do is free your mind, right?
Yeah.
How did we know
if you're happy and you have love? They show body scans when you're happy and you're in love that your whole body is lit up. There's no darkness in your body for any evil entity to sit there and hide in, and the same thing.
Not when you put out love, when you intake love, when you possess love and contain it.
Yeah.
There's no way in for the darkness.
It's the armor of God.
It is.
Can I ask a question? How does satanic ritual abuse, which is obviously more than just guys raping girls, like there's something to it. What does it open? What kind of dark forces does it bring? How does it figure in their plan of one world government? I don't understand that.
It's what they did on October 7th. That is satanic ritual abuse.
Yeah.
And I said that they were sacrificed to Moloch.
Yeah.
Those Jews.
Probably.
But you say, you call it the cult of Mithra, which everybody should Google and, whatever your search engine is, and read about because it's fascinating. It's a Roman cult, right?
Yeah. I mean, it started with the Aryan race. I mean, we can go here in a second into Hitler because that's such a huge, important part of all of this, right? But with satanic ritual abuse, what they do is, depending on the level of bloodline that you have, sometimes it starts when they're in the womb by electroshock therapy in the womb because you want that child to come out disassociated.
Right.
And the more they can disassociate a child before the age of 8, the more altars. So if you think of they do an inverse of the tree of life, right?
Yes,
they make it satanic. And so you've got the tree trunk, which is your core, and then they branch it out into all these branches, and each branch can have a sub branch as well. And so they have different altars with different names, different personalities. And
amnesia between each of the parts. They don't know what they're doing.
Right. And so a lot of people don't integrate those parts until they're in their late 30s to 40s. They start to be able to recognize that they have all these different parts and start to go on that healing journey. But each one of those parts, if it's part of an MK Ultra, then they put different programs of what they want them to do. So this is Satan's army. Literally, this is Satan's army. And keywords can trigger these people to become assassins, to become beta sex slaves. They all have unique different programs.
To become rioters.
Yeah.
Social media influencers.
Right.
For real. No, I
It,
think a
it's
lot
like
of
it's everywhere. It's terrifying when you find out that they're running stats and they believe that between 8 and 10% of children are going through some form of satanic ritual abuse. And when they have the occult calendar, and when they do their
Especially
ritual,
the children of Gaza through the UN Satanic Ritual Abuse Network that runs out of there through
yeah,
NGO money that American
yeah,
taxpayers give them.
well, it's a
They
harvest.
do
They find a lot of
experiments on them every minute of every day with horror,
yeah,
nonstop.
they have been definitely a test. They've been guinea pigs for sure.
And Egypt won't let them out.
Yeah.
All of the people who are part of that religion, back to Babylon,
Yeah.
they still like human shields and child sacrifice, don't they?
Mm-hmm. There's all that energy, and when you grow up in the occult, you learn how to harness that energy. So there's children that I've spoken to that love to do evil and love to antagonize and cause all the chaos, and then
They think they can get away with it because that's why they train them. And they do it in gangs too. Here
Mhm.
in the blue cities, they train
Yeah.
them to kill in gangs.
Yeah.
They
And
like
so,
child assassins and child soldiers.
right. But it goes even further than that too, because they know how to harness that energy. So if you've ever seen photographs with those like orbs all over in the photograph, those are orbs of energy. They know how to harness and grab onto those orbs of energy and then use it in the spiritual realm when they astral project, and they create, and they actually will build in the spiritual realm against people.
What would it be like if people woke up to the fact that was real? Because, they just roll their eyes at these
Right.
things now. What would happen if they became aware of what was happening in the world? And, if all of their intellectual capabilities were awakened to fact rather than bullshit, what would that do?
I think that then we could awaken everybody to be able to combat and to fight what's going on, because everybody is taught to go against spirituality and the spiritual world, and they think that it's woo-woo and you're made fun of and you're called a nut job and you're crazy. But like all through every religion, it's the same story, and it's over and over and over again. And so how can all those religions be wrong? And even if you go back to the Sumerian text, which is the oldest text that we have, it talks about a flood, and there's deliverance parts in it where they're delivering each other from demons that they didn't want. Even though they were satanic themselves, they still have issues with who possesses them and who has control over them, And so they're still fighting, but they're fighting the wrong way, to where they leave that doorway open. And when you leave that doorway open, and even though you called out that demon or that spirit, if you don't close that door, 7 more of its buddies are coming back, and they're worse. And you're more afflicted and you're more possessed. And
don't you see these people in the streets screaming like they're demonically possessed?
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Yeah.
And they look like demons too. They don't look like sane humans.
There can be a full like demonic takeover to where like the core doesn't ever come back.
That's what I want to talk about. I'm fascinated by this stuff.
Well, I want to know about Jeffrey Epstein and them and their eugenic.
Yeah.
They're wanting to create beings that they manufacture themselves.
Right.
That's so scary. that's like Margaret Sanger level demonic, way back when.
Yeah. So they believe that the more that they can breed, just like the Nazis were breeding the Aryan race.
Right.
Okay, and that was a huge thing. They're continuing to do that, but they've taken it more secret. You know how like secret societies would get kicked out of different areas and then they just change their name and go more underground and everything. That's exactly what happened after Hitler. And, the 1600 scientists with Operation Paperclip came over to the United States to do
Run
more
various
ritual
programs.
abuse and experiments,
Yeah.
Right. On captive populations like Gaza.
Yeah. And so a lot of those children through
specifically American blacks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a lot of those children through those Nazi scientists were breeders, and they were bred to have these children, and they would use them for either sacrifice or they would use them if they were gifted, and they would keep them. And with Jeffrey Epstein, everybody's so focused on the island that nobody is talking about his New Mexico ranch.
Right, exactly.
Correct.
And
that's where the eugenics shit went on.
Didn't even get, nobody went in there and raided that. Why?
No. Because it was the science. All that science was there.
Right.
What is the eugenics program he was doing? He was quite literally breeding people?
Trying to breed the perfect race, which would be, in the Bible, it talks about the end days are going to be like the days of Noah. Well, they were doing all those genetic experiments back then, and they were doing chimeras and all kinds of different things. And that's the exact same thing that we're running into today. I was offered $1 million for my eggs, and I said no. However, I also have had issues like if you see that movie Blink Twice that Zoe Kravitz did.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of my memories were. So I know that bad things happen to me more than I can remember. And so they probably do have my eggs, And so if you look at the backyard of Epstein's New Mexico ranch, it has this great big wheel looking garden. And if you look at Plato, that's how Plato said that Atlantis looked like, but it's also the Wheel of Giants. And that Wheel of Giants, there's a megalithic structure at Golan Heights of the Wheel of Giants. And a couple dozen of giants are buried there. And they believe that Og may have even been buried there, and that's at the base of Mount Hermon.
Wow. Is that why
that giant race,
Is that why that area, in your opinion, is so hotly contested, to put it mildly?
Yeah, I think,
Well, isn't that where David slew Goliath?
It's where a lot of things in the Bible happen.
Yeah. The field of Armageddon is right there. If you look, because with ritual abuse, they love to do it next to streams and waterways and everything like that because it's energetic and it can take that demonic energy and pass it all the way down. And what creeps me out about Golan Heights is that all of those waterways from Gaza and Israel and all that, so you've got innocent children and women, that's blood is going into that water. And it's going all the way, and it stops in pools at Golan Heights, where the Wheel of Giants is. And if like alternative texts, they talk about Bashan being the area where the abyss opens. And Bashan was Golan Heights.
So they're
I think they're trying real hard to open up the demonic portals everywhere. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I was just going to ask. Is that what they're doing?
Look at the weather.
Yeah.
The weather tells me a lot.
So they're doing this now. They're trying to open portals,
Absolutely.
They being the Canaanites or Satanists, whatever we want to call them.
Yeah.
To bring about the end times.
Correct.
And we're busy infighting amongst religions.
Yeah, because that was their structure, is to cause chaos into where we're fighting about politics, which, no matter what side you're on, it is the beast system,
Yeah, it's all the beast system, all of it.
So I know love stops them, but when you talk about the Jewish people, the true Jewish people, God's people in Israel, certainly them being safe in Israel does not help the satanic takeover, right? Is that why there's such attention that they have on the Jewish people in Israel? Because we're kind of in the
No,
way?
it's because there's
It's the land.
It's because, well, yeah, that's true. And that's what everything in the Western world hinges on, that there is tribal land. And that's what the corporatocracy of the Vatican and the UN want to remove from the whole world, is the right of any tribe to live atop its sacred burial grounds. They want everything. And that's what it's really about. And so if the Jewish people are, if they say that we are not the indigenous people of Judea, hello, if they could get that one overturned, then nothing's stopping them from taking over everything. And that's what they want. They want their seed, which is, the British royals. They really manufactured that one for a long, long time. They had to kill the Merovingian tribe to get where they are.
Merovingian?
Yeah,
I think we're saying that right.
Merovingian.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been going on for a really, really, really long time. And they got a lot of Jews that are with them.
Yeah.
And a lot of those Jews have power in Israel. And their number one thing is they don't think Israel should exist. And they don't like Jews that believe in God. I mean, they're communists. And, they don't believe any tribe should have the right to its own tribal homeland either. They're one worlders.
Well, Ma, you brought up James Lindsay. He talked about communism. That's kind of his thing, James Lindsay, anti-communist. Yeah. But he says if you extrapolate the Communist Manifesto, it's Satanism. If you extrapolate anything, so it's all of this really is a satanic one world government trying to open a portal to end times. And the Jews, and in my opinion, that's what I'm hearing, the true Jews in Israel and God's people, forget saying Jew, just God's people in that area are standing in their way. And that would explain so much to me of what's going on in the world today. If that's
what Torah says is the souls.
Yeah. So we'll call them that.
Sinai are standing in the way. Just like those same souls or those same, that same inspiration in those people said, no, we won't give our nose rings for you to make a golden calf.
Right.
It says that in Torah. That same inspired soul says no now. No, we won't worship any but our God. And they don't like that at all. They hate that. And we'll stand here in the land he gave us. We've returned, we've made it bloom. And you know what? We figured out how to make air go into water. We can make air turn into water. And we have weapons that none of y'all can touch. So deal with it, bitches. Get on board or, be lost. That is the message of Torah.
Absolutely. And it does make sense that what Audra is saying with SRA and Epstein, I definitely want to talk about, and the royal family, that you're really saying there are two bloodlines, right? The people of God and the people of Cain and Satan, right?
Yes.
And that's the war.
That's the war.
Okay.
As simple as that. If people could just grasp that and stop fighting with race and gender wars and all this other stuff, like just, love one another, treat each other with respect and empathy.
And they've infiltrated every faith, every form of government, every world government. It's not a particular group. It's Satanists and people of God. And you got to pick. It's end times.
It's in the heart. It's in the heart. It's in the soul. Yeah. It's not in a building. And it's right there. That's the war. Which side?
And now Satan's getting so smart with technology and AI and like parasites. I know you do an ad on parasites. It is so important to get rid of parasites because of the frequencies that they use with music and with television and with just even the Wi-Fi signals and the satellites and everything that can manipulate those parasites. They're little demon parasites, and so all that frequency, you've got to pay attention to all of that stuff too and try to keep your temple clean.
twc.com/health code RB. Just kidding. No, but it is true. And also, I always talk about social media, but Satan, of course, I asked Mom this last week. I said, if you were demonic, if you were the devil, where would you go now? Where would you go to spread your message? And it's social media. That is a big thing that I think everybody's ignoring. They go see this messaging.
It's all over social media. I watch it
100%.
to see the devil.
Me
the
too.
Satan.
That's why I can't do it that much anymore, because when I go in there, all I see, it's like in the Matrix, when Neo the Green, he starts to see the world the way it is. That's all I see is Satan, 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 Satan. It's not worth my time. And I think a lot of people are getting manipulated. And I think there's a form of satanic ritual abuse, not the actual one, but I think there is a form of SRA that is happening on social media.
No, it's MK Ultra. That's what it is.
Yeah, look at what happened in 2020 with COVID.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were all under mass mind control. Totally. And now a lot of people are very highly suggestible because of it.
Totally.
Amazing.
But it always backfires on them because, you can look around and see all the satanic horror for sure, and you should. You shouldn't be blind to anything because God says you have to fight. You have to consciously fight evil. You don't just go, oh, I acknowledge it. You have to fight it.
And why is the serpents kind as doves?
That's right. And but they inflict a traumatic event, like saying, we're all going to die, and then you become highly susceptible to mind control because you're in trauma. Trauma is how they control us, and you'll notice the trauma is unceasing with the attacks every day. Somebody getting shot, or they do it to keep us under their thumb. And that's why they don't, they create chaos, and then they provide a way for us to find our way out. They also come behind themselves and then give us a so-called pathway out, which is increasingly locking down our rights.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it all works together, right?
Yeah, or a solution of a vaccine that allegedly could possibly be tainting our DNA.
Yeah, it definitely taints our DNA.
Yeah.
It definitely does. And that's why I thought, oh my God, it's not meaningless that they did all their testing in Israel. It's not meaningless.
Right.
And, it's the worst, but Torah says it will happen, and that everybody will see what's up. Everybody's going to see exactly what's up. So, those of us with belief in that.
Yeah.
We want to see it fall. Oh my God, do we want to see it fall? I think it did fall already, Babylon, and we're just feeling the earthquakes it caused when it crashed to the ground, because there's just too many people who know now, and it can't be secret, and it gets its power from secrecy, right?
It sure does. And I think that Epstein is one of Leviathan's heads. And I think that will open up to, unfortunately, the one world government. And when I was around...
That's what he was doing. He was actually working for the royals and going around changing all the laws so that, all the financial laws in the world, which created the bust of 2008. He created, that's what he was doing, is going around and undermining national sovereignty all over the world on behalf of the royals.
Yeah.
It's way bigger than his sex island.
Right. Which was horrific in itself, because there's so much more than just the 14, 15-year-old girls and the lukewarm media of what's being put out there. If you really look at the structure of that temple too, it's all Mithras. If you look at the temple that was built in Persia for the cult of Mithras, the same design on the floor, you can find it in Iraq still. Yeah, it's same design on the floor is what is on the outside. All those squares, they're initiation squares. And, they've got the benches right where the ritual calls for them to be, and the number of steps, and you go in and you look at the top of the ceiling, and it's all the astrological signs. It's all Mithras, which
What is
was
Mithras?
so Mithras is the cult of the giants, basically. Put it in easy terms.
It's the oldest religion in the world, right?
Right.
And it's really the most powerful. Every city has its monuments in it, including Washington, D.C. is full of its monuments.
Well, and what's really sad is if you really study like Constantine, for example, he was big into Mithras, and then they say that he converted to Christianity, but what he did is he just merged them.
Right.
And so if you're not educated, and unfortunately Satan wanted to corrupt religions as well. And so a lot of our churches, they cherry pick verses and everything else, but they're missing like the whole picture of it. And if somebody like me goes and tries to talk about it, like,
yeah, I know. I've
work,
been there, done that.
Yeah. And but my biggest thing is open the Torah and read it. Open the Bible and read it. Read many different religions and see the common theme through them all, and I believe that the Jews are God's chosen people, and that Yeshua came because if you read the Old Testament, it talks about how the Nephilim and the giant bloodlines are damned, right? Well, we've interbred so much together because that's part of the corruption, right? That Yeshua, I believe, came for the ones that aren't the true Jews to wash away and be that sacrifice to break that curse over them to where they could have eternal life too.
Wow. That's fascinating. Yes, she was.
I very much agree with you and would like to show you some texts I have on that subject.
I would love to.
Well, yeah, it's a mind F for sure. But history, I mean, they're trying to erase history, and they've corrupted science, obviously, and now they're trying to rewrite all history. But yeah, the Torah still exists. That was like the first thing that broke away from all of that. It broke away from it and said, we're not going to have human sacrifice anymore. Can you imagine? They're still mad about that. I think that's why they don't like us still. We're going in a different direction with this.
Yeah.
They hate that.
How do we know
if you managed to survive, but it's good that you have.
Yeah. Grace of God. It's the only thing that I can think of that's kept me here thus far.
Well, that's only.
I mean, we've definitely been through we've had our windshield shot out of our yacht in the middle of the Gulf, and we've been stalked and harassed because, you never truly break free from all this. Like, you're always a targeted individual,
When you were in the Epstein world, you had told me when we talked yesterday that there was some kind of, and forget if you don't want to talk about it, let me know, I'll cut it out. But you had mentioned there was some sort of blackmailing that got you into it, and you were kind of swept up in it. What was it, and what kind of stuff did they make you do or have you do? Were you recruiting or?
No. So I was stuck in having to meet up with other elites and be their arm candy and listen to their conversations and report back. And that's why I truly believe that he's intelligence.
Oh, so they had you spy on elites.
Yeah.
So for blackmail? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh,
and for information on, what their plans were. I mean, that's why, I had sat at so many dinners. I wasn't shocked about what happened in 2020 with COVID because I had already heard about it. I had heard about them wanting to get rid of the useless eaters. They want to usher in the age of Atlantis, the golden age. they want to usher us in. And right now is the push from 2025 to 2030 is the big push to accomplish that.
That's the UN Agenda 2030 you mentioned last week, Mom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chrislam, their new religion, their new one world religion, Chrislam.
Which is just the satanic religion. That's just the rebranding, right?
Which they already have the temple for over in the
Where?
Middle
They do? Where's that at?
No, I don't want to misquote. It's not.
But there is an actual Chrislam temple.
Yeah.
Wow.
And King, what's his face? King Charles? Yeah, he's going to preside over it.
I worry more about his son, and the reason why I worry about his son more
Which
is
one?
William,
because Princess Diana had that missing link that they wanted in that bloodline, giving him the 13 families.
Right.
can you go into that a little bit? I'm confused.
Yeah.
What's that?
Okay, yeah. So the Tower of Babel happened.
Mhm.
And when they tried to build that temple to basically like overthrow God and be gods
Mhm.
themselves, right?
Yeah, I just call that CAA.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a really
true.
good one.
Yeah.
So the 13 families made a pact, and they damned and cursed all the generations to come after them. And they wanted to then continue the hidden secret knowledge, and they would produce that down into their generational lines. And nothing was with writing. It was all handed and passed down to the different like gatekeepers of their bloodlines.
So what's
Ain't
that
it
with Prince
just about
William?
adrenochrome?
Huh?
Ain't it just all about adrenochrome?
That's part of it, because they want eternal life, and it keeps you young and helps with disease and illnesses.
What
What's
does that
the
have to do
other
with Prince? Yeah, Prince William and the lineage. You were
Yeah,
going
yeah,
into that.
tell us that.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, there's all these 13 families, and one of the big things is that they want to be able to breed in all those 13 families and have it into one vessel, because when you have all those 13 families together, that makes you an avatar for the Antichrist spirit.
Yeah.
And you think William is?
That's like Rosemary's Baby.
I mean, there are more than just him, right? But he's on such a world scale and a grand scale, and everyone seems to like him, you know. And
Well, they love Harry and Meghan Markle. They just got like $100 million from Netflix, which we know is a satanic org. I'm wondering if he's probably the
They
one.
did? I thought they took their money back.
Well, they got it at some point. My point is, like, there's been a manipulative push to make them cool. I don't think anyone really thinks they're cool, but everyone that is satanic is
Well,
pushing.
what's about the prince, though? Because he's going to be the one to declare himself the Messiah.
possibly, you know, the other thing, and like, I'm rooting and I want Trump to do well, but I worry about him opening the stargates.
Yeah.
Because that
Unintentional.
Project Stargate is, I mean, I'm sure you know what Project Stargate is.
A little, I don't know a lot.
Having the town in Golan Heights makes me a little nervous, you know, and I have always supported and felt like he was going to be one to make huge change. But then when I've seen him flip-flop on the Epstein thing, like, that's such gaslighting for us survivors. Like, that was devastating to me.
Me too.
You know?
Me too.
Well, I just went, oh, he's just not done yet. I mean,
I hope, and I really pray that
he's
that's
not done yet. That's the truth. He's not done yet because he has all that info and he's using it and has used it, and you know, he's not done yet. He'll let us know when it's done.
Yeah, because I want to ask you, Audra, real quick. You know,
He's taking down the UN next, so it ain't done.
when he says there's no Epstein files, and Pam Bondi says that, or they say that it's a Democratic hoax, for someone who's actually a victim of Epstein himself, you know, there's a list. I've talked to people. There is a list. There
I
is
think
a black
he just
book.
did that to make the Democrats demand that he release it, so then they could block it, and so people could see what's really going on. But it was
That's
the Republicans that blocked it, so that shows you even more.
Yeah, I mean, it's on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
You know.
There's two bloodlines, and they've infiltrated everywhere. So let's stop
Yep.
looking at red and blue. Let's stop looking
That's
at
right.
Jewish, Christian, Muslim. Let's stop doing that. It's children of Satan and children of God. And
That's exactly it.
I just want to make sure Trump is not playing on the wrong side, because I'm devastated as well. To call it a hoax, he could have said, we're looking into it, but that was weird. And he's very politically smart, and that's the first dumb thing I've ever seen him say. And
It ain't dumb. He don't do nothing dumb.
I hope you're right.
Disinformation is necessary. In the meantime, he has rescued so many children and busted up so many trafficking things. He just bombed the fentanyl. He just bombed fentanyl makers in the U.S. cartels. He's keep on going. He's doing what we asked him to do. And when the time's right, he'll tell us when it's done. And, the fact that he's even talking about arresting Obama and Hillary, come on now, he's not going back on nothing. He's going full steam ahead. And, he's going to let us know when he wants us to know. So hang on there. We didn't come this far for nothing.
Yeah,
I hope you're right.
so. I think being a survivor and seeing people that you would never suspect be horrible people makes me always question everything, and
well, when you hear it from me that he's not doing what he's supposed to do, then believe it. But till you hear it from me, don't.
Okay.
I was hoping you'd have some insight.
I do.
And I've met Trump many times, and I never had a problem with him, and he was always nice, and I had never known him to be in that circle and into that web. And I met a lot of people, and I was around a lot of those people, and I know that he would be a topic at dinners, but it usually was not good. So that's what I always kept holding on to hope for,
Yeah, well, he's the real deal. He really is.
Audra, do you think he's involved in the Epstein list, or you're just?
I don't think that he's involved so much on the Epstein list. I think that they had a friendship, but I don't think that he knew kind of what he was up to. And that's the thing too I want to bring out, is that a lot of these people that are in politics and high positions, not all of them are bad. They just are in the wrong place at the wrong time, or they have a dinner somewhere, and I have heard this one too many times, that they're eating and then they roll something on a cart and they show what the person has been eating, and it's all on video. And what do you do at that point? You're blackmailed. You're screwed. Yeah.
I heard that a lot of the people that went to Epstein Island didn't know what they were getting into. And
that I don't know, because
didn't do anything. There were levels.
I'm sure that there were levels, right? But what concerns me about the flight logs is that if you look at the dates, they line up with the ritual dates. And if you look at the
that
you've
says
you've got a high priestess on those planes.
Yes, for sure. But
I mean, they could have still been unknowing. I mean, I have an interesting theory. I think maybe part of the desire for Trump to bury the list is that a lot of the people on that list were not complicit, and you're basically worried about ruining the lives of people that just went on a plane ride. And I certainly empathize with that.
That's what I
could
said.
see that. Yeah. But he should just say that then.
Look at that Blink Twice movie, and it's I know that I woke up many times where things weren't right, and that's the same thing with the whole Diddy thing. And it's you go somewhere, and I was so protective about my drinks. I always had my hand over it. I was very aware. And so for things like that to happen to me, I wasn't a big partier. I wasn't into drugs. I wasn't into really even drinking. And so I'm kind of the last person I ever thought would end up in a situation like I did. And so if I feel if I can be in that situation, anybody can, and so that is devastating, and that's heartbreaking, and it's even heartbreaking for me because I think I've gotten to this part of healing, that even the perpetrators, they were perpetrated and they went through hell as children, and unfortunately they picked the wrong side and they picked the wrong team, and they ended up going down that dark path. But my heart breaks for that child that went through all that.
Me too.
Yeah, because they're never in their right mind. Again, they're captives of Satan. That's why I always pray for God to set the captives free
Me-
and they can come back to freedom. Well, you got your freedom back.
Yeah.
That's a great lesson, a great story.
Can I ask each of you one question before we wrap up? Because this has been so
Yeah.
good. I'll start with you, Mom, and then I'll finish with Audra. But
Okay.
in your opinion, since we've now established there's these two bloodlines, right? How do you tell who is on the Son of God bloodline and who is on the giant evil Anunnaki Satanist bloodline? What tells are there so we can? Because there are influencers we follow, there's celebrities, there's politicians. Is there a tell?
For
Is there
me,
a
there
way-
is
What is it? What's your tell? I'm asking-
anti-Semitism.
Hmm.
When they start the Jew shit, I'm like, buddy, you're on such the wrong side. When you got double standards about one country in the world, which you're on the wrong side. I mean, it's so obvious.
Mhm.
All their
I
double
agree.
standards means they don't have no standards. And that's a
Correct.
Satanist.
Well said. Audra, same question for you.
There's kind of three different things. One, I look for their story to change, because when you're a liar and you're full of deception, it's really hard to continue with the same story over and over again. And so, I end up asking people the same question about 3 different times because I want to see what the answers are. And then I want to tell them a heartfelt thing to see if there's any empathy there, because if there's no empathy there, then you know that they're just a vessel. And the third thing is, and this isn't always, because you can have simple accidents, right? My husband just slices head open in St. Croix on, thank goodness, the other side. But a lot of times initiation oaths, you're hit on the left side by your eyebrow or above your forehead. You got it?
I had a knob that I had surgically removed, like a.
Oh,
my
that's
Jew
right.
horn
That's
was-
way high. No, you're
Okay.
good. So
Thank
you
God.
want to look kind of like in this area, and a scar can be
I'm clean.
a tell. And that was a
Wow.
very common thing that I saw over and over again that freaked me out. And the left hand, a scar on the left hand for the left hand path.
I don't have that. I have scars on my right hand.
Yeah,
God, I'm
it is
safe.
the left-hand path, though. That's really a good way of saying it is a left-hand path. For sure.
Now pray I don't get killed for that information.
You won't be, because we have a protective
God's
prayer.
armor.
Yeah, absolutely. 9%.
We love truth.
Yeah, you're bringing it today. This is like, it's me and Mom have been doing this podcast for like 1.5 years, 2 years. We've been peppering this throughout. Sometimes, Mom, you've been more explicit, but this has been just
This is
focused.
God deal.
I'm so good.
God bless you. Thank you for coming on my show. You got to come back and tell us more. We got to go into how they start when you're born. When you're born into the
I have so much information, and there's so much that I would love to share and talk with you about. And I guess one of the big things on ending the podcast here is that if Trump doesn't do anything with the Epstein list and everything like that, I am on the board of directors for Epstein Justice. And that is such an important mission, because you can write to your senators and your congressmen, and you can demand that everything gets released. And unfortunately, in this time of age, we also need funds. So if anybody has any extra money to be able to put behind it, we desperately need it to try to bring this forward. Because if we can take down from the top, Trump's been doing a good job getting the bottom feeders, right? But like, are they scapegoats? Like, we need to take the head, because if we can take the head, believe it or not, the head controls all those little ones that go all the way down to your own backyard, because
that's right.
Your backyard isn't safe either, unfortunately, these days.
Yeah, kill the head vampire.
Take this head out of the snake. And
that's right. And we will.
Well, give us the website. And then one more thing, Audra, you and I talked yesterday. It was fascinating. You had, I believe this was you. I could be switching now, but you had said that you were worried that if we did take down the Epstein client list, that would be the fall of everything and lead us into the apocalypse, which is not
good. All the banks, for sure, all the banks.
That wouldn't be good, right? Maybe that's why Trump.
All the government heads. I mean, this is so widespread that they have information literally on every single major government player, and it could completely collapse everything. But I mean, the thing is we can't allow this to continue on. And we were told to get out of Babylon. We all need to get out of Babylon and figure out what Babylon is and how it's participating in our own life, and to get out of it. And, you know, that just means that our time of peace and love and happiness is going to come for us, and we don't have to live in this shit anymore.
I think Trump's doing it. I think he's taken down, you know, Powell. He's taken down the Fed. He's taken down the system that wants war and slavery and debt. He's taken it down. And be aware of it. Be aware of how Babylon is falling under President Trump in a million different ways. And so I'll say, keep the faith, MAGA.
Okay. All
and
right.
open your Bible and your Torah and read it for yourself, because it's so important to read it for yourself, and don't be told and be part of the MK Ultra religious fraction, you know?
That's right, because God is in control, and see it. Really try to train your eye to see it, because you could see it everywhere. They're crumbling, they're running scared. And their whole thing is going up in flames, and you should enjoy it. It's great. Something better is coming. It is.
And until then, create heaven within your own family and your own life, and have love and happiness. And there's nothing that we can do. This is it's out of our hands. We can only do what we can do, and that's love and happiness.
That's right.
Amen.
That's a great... So you see, my patience is wearing thin.
Amazing episode.
In this world, I'm Satan. I'm trapped in.
Amazing. Audra, real quick, for the SRA survivors, is there someone they can reach out to if they're watching this?
I'm mainly on Facebook, Audra Lynn Fasano, Fasano, or I have SRT Playmate on Instagram, and I'm working really hard to get tiny homes built for survivors to be able to go to, and to have refuge and healing and help them.
I have to hook you up with Mary Flynn and Kathy O'Brien, because they're getting legislation passed to help survivors and victims, and we got to do it. It's our time.
So you see, my patience is growing thin.